right, good evening, gentlemen. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate the turnout. This seminar is going to focus on ways to improve velocity. Obviously, it's part of this in terms of throwing harder. Certainly, there's a genetic component here. I mean, it's almost like running speed, where you're either born fast or you're not. And understanding that you're not going to take a kid who has an absolute horrible arm and turn him into a kid who throws 90 some miles an hour. It's just throwing a baseball is a very difficult skill, and sometimes just plain old genetics plays a factor in that. But there are some things that you can do, and part of this does depend on how old the kid is. Because I'm certainly going to do a lot more advanced things, training type of things with a high school kid than a kid who's in Little League or T-ball. But I think there's a certain age, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to say kind of in that 11 to 13 age group, whatever, is my guess is something goes on in the body. I don't know if the bones kind of lock in and set in place or harden. I don't know what it is. But if kids really cannot address some of the basic throwing mechanics by that time, they're pretty much locked into whatever mechanics they're at when the body goes through that process. And then it becomes almost impossible to help kids really dramatically improve their arm strength. So there's some things that we can do to get the most out of the body to improve velocity, but again, we have to recognize there's only so much that we can do. But of course, when kids go to showcase tryouts and they try out for teams and stuff, certainly the kids who have the stronger arm are going to stand out. Now, if you attended any of my defensive seminars tonight, you probably heard me say that I'm a huge fan of defense, of catching and throwing, because as you get older, defense becomes more important. And as a kid, if he's looking for a chance to play, he has a much better chance to play if he can simply catch and throw and has a strong arm, because there's 9 defensive positions. So if a kid has a strong arm and pretty accurate, I will find a spot on the field for that kid to play. I can teach that kid to play third base. I can teach that kid to play shortstop or outfield or catcher or even pitch. But you can't teach someone to have a great arm. So that's one of the first things that when I had tryouts here at North Penn, so the very first thing I would look at is how strong is that kid's arm. Because if he does not have a good arm, he's going to have a tough time playing in high school because there's no spot for him. He better be able to hit a ton. He better be like a Ryan Howard. Otherwise, if he's just an average hitter, there's no spot for him. Because in high school, everybody pretty much can hit. The ones that kind of break through and are successful and make the team are generally the ones that can play defense. So a strong arm is something that I look for quite a bit. So anything we can do to get kids to have as much out of their body as they can, that's going to help them play. Not only in Little League, but make the teams as they move on. But as I said in a couple seminars I'd said before, most kids like to hit. They love to practice hitting, and I use the line, you know, when kids go to Freddie Hill, they put in a token or a quarter, they don't get 10 ground balls, okay, to field and practice their throwing. They hit. Everybody wants to hit. But as you get older, the ability to throw and catch, particularly with velocity, becomes more and more important. So I'm going to show you some things that kids can do really at any age to try to get the most out of their body so that they can improve their velocity. And I find that most kids that struggle with arm strength can improve, sometimes significantly, based on their throwing mechanics and basically just using the stronger part of their body when they throw.